treat the art world just like a lot of people bet on or speculate on altcoins. So, meron mga altcoins na very cheap and they're looking for fast appreciation. The more young artists there are that are becoming adept at NFTs, yun, makikita mo na lang na the market will just completely change overnight. It's gonna be crazy.
Hi everyone, in this video we're gonna talk about NFTs and we have the top NFT creator in the Philippines, Luis Buenaventura, joining us in the podcast. Luis, how are you?
Very well, Marvin. Thank you so much for having me. This is gonna be an exciting conversation for sure.
For those who are watching this and this is the first time they've ever heard NFTs, let's go to the basics first. In 1 minute, what's an easy way for you to define NFTs to a lot of people who actually don't know what it is yet?
Sure. Okay, so this is this is a pretty interesting concept. It's very new, it's very novel, and some people are intimidated by the terminology kasi. So I'm not gonna even use the word NFT in my definition. I'm just gonna say na we've always needed a digital certificate of ownership for stuff. And like that certificate of ownership can be applied to basically anything. But in the case of NFT art kasi, we're applying it to artwork. So what does that mean? I am a digital artist. I don't know how to use a paintbrush and a canvas. I don't know how to use oils or watercolors. I don't know any of that stuff. I know how to use Photoshop, right? Now, the artwork that I create, it can be as detailed and as complex as anything that an oil painter can make. But for some reason, the oil painter always makes more money than me, than a digital artist, right? Because the problem kasi with digital art is you can reproduce it any number of times. You can Control-C, Control-V, and then you've got your own copy of that JPEG, right? So the problem we were trying to solve was how does an artist like me, like yourself, like any other artist, how do they prove that it's this particular JPEG that is parang endorsed by the artist? It is the edition that the artist is selling. And then pag nalipat na yung edition na yun to someone else, may bumili na nung edition na yun, that there is now a guarantee that they now own it. So that's what's always been missing from the digital art world. And that's what NFTs are trying to solve. So gumagawa sila ng, it's basically like you can imagine it as a certificate that says this artwork was created by Luis and it is now bought by Marvin, right? So Marvin now owns it. There was some kind of transaction. Maybe he paid some cryptocurrency for it. Now it's with him. And then if he ever wants to resell it, it has to be that same certificate that gets moved to someone else, the new buyer, right? So this is what NFTs are. It is trying to create a digital certificate of ownership that you can actually believe. And that's always been missing from the digital art world, and that's why it's such a powerful innovation, because now artists like me can actually compete against traditional painters and sell stuff na I can say this is a single edition. Kahit na you can still copy and paste pero iisa lang yung token, iisa lang yung NFT or certificate of ownership that pertains to that.
Because it's just so new, that's why a lot of people don't understand it, and you nailed it right on the head that it's digital And if you look at how things are going right now, houses are getting smaller, that if you go back before, okay, it's practical to get a painting kasi you have a bigger house How about people 30, 40 years from now where their houses are smaller? It may not be easier for them to hang that painting that their grandma once had, but everyone can buy an NFT and store it wherever they want to store it. And I think that makes it very, very relevant, especially to people who are younger as well.
For sure.
People who are hearing this for the first time, okay, it's art. It's something that's collectible. It's a token of ownership. What are the first steps if I want to actually participate? I want to buy I want to dabble into this.
You're coming at it from the collector's perspective, no, not the artist's perspective. So from the collector's perspective, well, you have to understand a little bit about crypto. So at the very least, you have to have some cryptocurrency already, right? Kasi yun yung pinapambayad mo eh. Generally speaking, yun yung pinapambayad mo to buy the artwork in question. Now, if you go to certain marketplaces, you can usually pay dollars naman. There is an option to use your credit card. And if you prefer that, then yeah, you don't even need the cryptocurrency part. You could just go directly there and you spend your credit card. That's fine. So examples of that is Maker's Place and Nifty Gateway. Those are two online galleries where artists can exhibit their work, and they accept both Ethereum and US dollars. US dollars via credit card. So you can buy that way. Now, if you want to go the pure crypto route, there's way more marketplaces kasi out there eh. Pero yun lang, crypto only sila. They don't accept dollars at all. So yun yung trade-off. And then, so what do you actually do as a collector? Well, you look around, just like in any other online gallery. You look around, you find art that you like, you check if it's still on sale. And if it's still on sale, then you pay for it. You can pay for it, you can bid on it, so you can actually name the price that you want. And if the artist thinks that price is fair, then they'll actually give it to you. So meron din siyang auction system eh. But if the artwork has already been bought, you can actually make an offer to the current owner. So using the same example kanina, so I made an artwork, Marvin bought it. You could actually see that Marvin now owns it, and then you can offer Marvin maybe a little bit more than he paid. Well, you probably have to offer him at least twice because otherwise walang ROI eh, diba? So you offer, makikita mo rin kasi yun eh. Nandun dun sa history ng transaction kung magkano yung last sale price. So, okay, so whatever that sale price is, you multiply it by 2, and then you offer that to Marvin. Marvin gets a notification, and then if that's enough for him, then, he'll sell it to you. He will get 90% of the amount, and the artist, me, will get 10% royalties. Which is pretty cool, right? Because that means na merong ongoing revenue yung artist habang nare-resell yung artwork niya. So that's a very nice automatic kind of way to have ongoing revenue. And that's never been possible in the physical world. I mean, it's very hard to prove kasi nabenta ulit yung painting after the fact. So so now you can actually look forward to these secondary sales. And make a little bit of money from that too.
You're releasing a NFT tomorrow in Binance, in the launch of Binance NFTs. Guys, supportan nyo siya. He'll be one of the best artists there. But here's my question. For people who are coming in, they'll sign up in Binance to be able to open an account for them to be able to have access to the marketplace. Which ones have the potential to go higher? How can they spot NFTs that will do very, very well? Because for sure, everyone knows yours will do very, very well tomorrow.
Thank you so much.
For others out there that that they don't know how to value NFTs, what's the best approach to look at that? Okay, this one will give me long-term capital appreciation.
The first thing I'll say is that this is exactly the same problem as the physical art world, right? The collectors in the physical art world have exactly this problem, right? I mean, how do I tell if this artist is good enough to hold long term? The same mechanisms are true in the digital art world and in the traditional art world. So you look at history, like how has the artist sold over the last how many years he's been doing this. So that's the first. You look at what the prices of his pieces are, and then you look at who his other collectors are. Are these people who are, professional collectors? Or are they curators? Are they gallerists? Or whatever, parang you try to look at every aspect that you can. And all of this stuff is revealed naman because of the nature of the blockchain, right? So you know who bought my stuff, you know how much they paid for it, you know if they've resold it, and if they resold it, you know how much they made on that. So there's enough historical records on there that you can kind of make an inference whether or not this is a worth it investment. Now, if you're a first time artist, and this is like, I don't know, like there's a lot of first time artists right now, right? Because there's a lot of Filipinos who are just trying this for the very first time. Their challenge is how do they very quickly make their work valuable in the eyes of collectors. In that case, naman, what you're doing there is you're trying to be very visible online. You want to be visible. You want to be engaging with the art community. Para the art community talks about you and your work. There's lots of different strategies to doing this. But the idea kasi is that like everyone has to start from somewhere. If you don't have the history yet, then you better be noisy because that's how you get people's attention. And then I guess you have to price accordingly. Don't price yourself too high naman because what you want to do is make sure that people own your stuff or they're willing to buy your work. And that's more important. You don't have to make your millions from a single sale naman eh. It's better for you to build up to that.
Should they buy someone that is up and coming because it's cheaper, or similar to the art world, do you buy someone that's considered blue chip already because they have a track record, they have a track record of...
very different very different strategies. But I can tell you that parang you can kind of treat the art world just like a lot of people bet on or speculate on altcoins. So meron mga altcoins na very cheap and they're looking for fast appreciation. So I'll give you a very funny example from myself because I remember my prices very clearly, obviously, because I was the one who priced them. So back in 2019, I sold an NFT for $50, right? So this was a simple doodle lang. It's like $50 and I was like, that's cute. I sold $50. Now meron na akong pang dinner namin tonight. That's fun, right? Now, that same piece was resold for $1,000 about a year later. So yung $50 that I made from it originally, I also made 10% on the resale. So naging $100 yung from the resale and then $50. So in total, I've made $150 from it, which is not a lot of money, right? It's whatever. It's fine. I'm happy that the original investor kind of saw a very nice return on his investment. I think that's the most important thing about that. Now, okay, so what does that say? That's a 1-year hold. 20x? Like, dude, there's not a lot of assets that you would have been able to, diba? So I was exactly that up and comer in 2019, and then in 2019 it appreciated by quite a bit. Hindi mahaba yung hold for the up and comers, quote unquote. And obviously, like, it's kind of hard to argue what that really means naman. Pero there's not a lot of investments you could have made that would have 20x'd you in a year's time. So I think that there's a lot to be said for like looking for artwork that looks unique or has a good story behind it. I think that's the most important thing. Because if you find this story about this artist compelling, then it's very likely that someone else will find it also compelling and exciting, and that will kind of create this buzz around that work long term. So I think that's what you're kind of looking for there, and it's very. I definitely advocate for making bets on up and coming artists. Like, there's so many great young Pinoy artists that are trying NFTs for the first time right now, and like all of them, every single one of them are way better than me. So I'm like, yeah, okay, it's just a matter of time before eventually I'll just get like complete, like I'm not gonna be relevant anymore. But like in the meantime, I can still talk.
It's hard because you're like the Ayala Corp of if you're a Philippine stock, you're Ayala Corp. If you're a US stock, you're Apple, something like that. So there will be new ones, pero yung mga Ayala Corp mahirap na.
Well, you need to be consistent too, right? So, I mean, I assume that's kind of one of the reasons why Ayala Corp is Ayala Corp. Parang they were consistent for 100 years. Not, they were constantly putting out good products and good businesses. So, as long as I can keep that up, then hopefully, knock on wood, I can. But yeah, like there's so much talent out there. And the more young artists there are that are becoming adept at NFTs, makikita mo na lang na the market will just completely change overnight. It's gonna be crazy, and I'm actually super excited. It also kind of like makes me feel like I really gotta get better also. So it's good motivation. So yeah.
Here are the things why I like NFTs. Number one, hindi siya masira, hindi siya masusunog eh. You don't have that problem. Unlike traditional art, it can deteriorate. It's easier to steal traditional art also because I think
Physical.
physical. And then number three is, and I've heard this from so many friends, there's so many fakes, especially if the
Mm.
artist is already dead. It's hard to authenticate them versus an NFT that you see it in the blockchain kung saan siya talaga galing. What would you tell people who are they really don't know much about this space yet? They have collectibles that are tangible. What do you think will be their upside if they bank on this as well?
Right. So I think that the best way to think about it kasi is that just like cryptocurrency itself, NFTs are in its infancy. So what does that mean for an investor who already has kind of some holdings to throw around or some capital to throw around? That means that if you get in early, you can be getting stuff at a that are very undervalued or underpriced, and you can ride their wave as they discover their true prices. And I think that you can say that very broadly about NFT art. I mean, granted, you've already got some NFT art that is freaking expensive, right? So that big Beeple sale at Christie's that was like $69 million. That's still the world record holder for this stuff, and that's a very difficult story to ever replicate. But generally speaking, you've got a lot of artists that are getting into NFTs for the first time. They're still pricing at very, very reasonable amounts. And what I mean by reasonable is like not even 50,000 pesos, like that kind of thing, no? And those are the kind of prices that you'd normally see in an art fair or the art fair here in the Philippines, yung price range na yon. So it's not unreasonable. And I think that that's the main thing for me. I know it's such a young industry that you can still make some very affordable bets right now, and position yourself early, and then kind of really ride that wave, and get some really nice ROI down the road.
I'll end it with this. What can they expect from your launch tomorrow? Congratulations, by the way. You will be the highlight. So you said that the 69 million of people hasn't been hit. They haven't seen your release tomorrow.
I don't think it would hit $69 million. What can we expect tomorrow? So the thing that excites me the most about the Binance launch, actually. So Binance kasi is a very Asian company, no? So they Chinese founders, like the management team is mostly Chinese, all of that stuff. Very Asian. Until this point kasi, the NFT art scene has been very Western centric. And you can tell that from the fact that, none of these marketplaces are ever offered in anything other than English, right? So that means it shuts down the Korean investors, the Japanese investors, the Chinese investors, basically everyone else who doesn't read English. Now, Binance is very much a multinational kind of company. So yung reach nila is very much outside of North America. So what excites me the most is that suddenly the rest of the world can participate. No, so both as collectors and as artists. And that's why if you look at yung 100 creators list ng Binance, these are the 100 creators that are going to be launching during their day one event. Quite a few of them are Chinese or Japanese, and we can't read their names, right? And I think that's great because those same artists had a hard time getting into parang the English-speaking marketplaces before because it's just not their language, right? And no one ever bothered to translate it into Japanese or Korean or anything else. So I'm very hopeful that this will actually globalize NFTs in a really meaningful way, in a way that hasn't been possible before. Because almost all of the NFT marketplaces before this were based in the US, so they were kind of very North America centric. And I like that. I like that now we're gonna be like Pinoys, like me, like you, like other people. We're all gonna be offering our art alongside, Japanese artists, Korean artists, Chinese artists, and American artists also. I think that's great. That's how the world should have been in the first place. It's just that it was so hard to do with it. Like technology is difficult, right? And thankfully, because Binance has such a massive footprint that is actually able to reach all of these countries simultaneously. And that's why I'm super excited about this new world that we're entering into.
And this is what I think that's different. When you look at 50 Gateway, Rarible, OpenSea, it's really an art only type of platform. Whereas I think Binance will tap a lot of crypto investors that are not really into art, but they have a lot of crypto that, okay, I've been investing in Ethereum or BNB or Bitcoin for quite some time. I want to park it somewhere also that, okay, you mentioned that there might be a long bear market. Better park it somewhere that might hold its value better than the token itself. So I think that will open up a world of possibilities also for crypto investors.
Yeah. So look, I mean, if you're an artist, if you're especially an artist in the Philippines, you should be looking at this stuff. I'm not saying that it's necessarily for everyone, but you should at least consider it because there's a lot of opportunities right now, and it's kind of like one of those very young industries, very young technologies where early adoption is usually rewarded in a way that is kind of outsized, meaning it's rewarded kind of much larger than it would normally be rewarded. So being brave and being fast are two very important traits in the cryptocurrency industry, and it's the same in NFTs.
NFTs look good, it's promising, but I'm still hesitating. For people who are either starting crypto pa lang or starting NFTs pa lang, would you say that they start them sabay? Or they do cryptos first so that they understand NFTs better? Or they do NFTs and then since they're transacting using cryptos, I'll figure out crypto also later?
I always advocate for people to learn crypto by using it for something other than just buying Bitcoin for the sake of buying Bitcoin. Like, learn how to use Bitcoin because you're actually using it for something specific. And NFTs are a great way to do that. So, I mean, I guess in this case, it's not going to be Bitcoin. It will be BNB for the Binance marketplace, or it'll be Ethereum for the other marketplaces, or it'll be Tezos for some of the other ones. You'll learn all of this stuff as part of your journey to collecting some NFTs or becoming an investor or a patron of some of the local artists. And I think that's the best way to learn. Like, you won't learn all of it, but it is at least a practical application. And I think that kulang na kulang yun. In the early days of crypto, there was not really any place for you to viably spend your Bitcoin. And now there's a lot of places. You can buy art with it. You can support local talent. All of that stuff. That's great. I think people should do more of that. And I definitely advocate for going down that road.
If they want to reach you, you're very, very active on Twitter, CryptoPop, Luis Manaventura. So where are the other avenues where they can also get in touch with you, see most of your work as well?
On Twitter, definitely at Hello Luis, HELLOLUIS. That's my Twitter username, and that's my username on Facebook as well. On Facebook naman, I have a daily crypto briefing where I write like a few hundred words about what happened yesterday in crypto news. So that's been helpful to many people who parang are coming into the crypto space for the first time. But anyway, all of my stuff is you can find my stuff both on Twitter and on Facebook, and then obviously I will be tweeting nonstop about the Binance NFT launch. So you guys will be seeing that real time if you want to follow me on either Facebook or Twitter.
And so to everyone watching this and you're undecided yet on where you're supposed to invest, let's support Luis. Support Filipino work. Support someone that has been in the industry for quite some time. And I saw we were in a webinar with you with Carlo Ople. You showed your work where you posted Bitcoin milestones, which was very, very I think relevant and very, very nice. So I'll put the links down below on how you can get in touch with him, see his work as well. So thank you so much, Luis. It's an honor to have you. And to everyone, I hope this at least gave you a glimpse on what NFTs are. And in my opinion, it's starting, but it's a glimpse into the future that we will see this 10, 20, 30 years from now. People will be talking about it as if they're talking about Netflix right now, that it will be part of how their lives are. So thank you to everyone, and to everyone watching this. I hope this video helps you trade well, trade strong, trade smart. See you all again soon, and God bless you all.